Hello and welcome to In the Envelope, an awards interview podcast. I am your host, Jack Smart, awards editor at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. I'm here to spotlight some of the most exciting film, television, and theater awards contenders working today. Who is in the running? What makes an awards-worthy performance? And what, dear listeners, are the secrets to giving one? We're sitting down for intimate, inspirational interviews with actors and artists to get that insider's perspective on these questions and more. It's an opportunity for some of today's most talented stars to share their craft and career advice, and maybe, just maybe, provide a tantalizing glimpse in the envelope.
I always want to play women who have inner crazy bees, I call it.
Sure.
And a lot of female parts are written where you're just kind of like the foil for the man's crazy bees. You're kind of like, what's going on in that head of yours? And I wanted to play it like, what's going on in that head of yours? Because my head feels insane. And they were like, no callback.
Are you glowing?
Oh my God, I love that beginning. Can that be the beginning? Welcome, listeners.
Oh, no.
We're putting it in, whether you like it or not.
That way.
I love it. Welcome to the Glow episode of Backstage's In the Envelope podcast. Jamie.
Hello.
We were joined by Debbie Gilpin today.
I know.
Talk about glowing. I am still glowing from this interview. Totally.
That was such a fun interview. And she's so funny.
She's so funny. I knew she'd be funny. I knew she'd be funny, but like also it's she's kind of the ideal backstage interview because she's that perfect blend of still in the early career, playful, just starting off and excited about the industry phase, but she's also just gotten this huge launch with being nominated for an Emmy Award.
Yeah.
For Netflix's Glow.
In the middle of the storm right now.
Mm-hmm. And she's theater trained. I always love talking to the theater trained actors, of course.
Yeah.
And she was super knowledgeable about that. And also like we talked a lot about the specific part of that world, which is like clowning and theater of the absurd. And that makes sense if anyone's seen, I think any of her performances, I've seen her on stage as well. And I saw her in this very dark show, which I think we mentioned in the interview called I'm Gonna Pray For You So Hard. But there's this darkness and there's this kind of grounded, believable aspect to her performances. But there's also something weird and zany and like quirky and unexpected.
Yeah. I mean, that must be fun to play off against, I would have thought. Someone who you never know what's going to come.
For sure. And it all feels like sheer honesty. And she's really good at communicating that. And it was also, for any actors listening who have ever been through an arduous audition process, which, let's face it, is most actors.
Yeah.
She had so many auditions and that happens for huge shows and like huge upcoming Netflix shows. This is Liz Flahive and Carly Mensch's show. And Betty's actually has a history with them on Nurse Jackie. We got into that too. The audition process it's insane.
Yeah.
As she said, it's so insane. And there's also a hilarious story about how she found out that she got the role. Yes. She booked the job at the same week that she got married.
Yeah.
So
What fun.
What fun. I do think this is a great interview for actors, but also for like those of us who are balancing a career and a personal life, which is most of us.
Yeah, definitely. Especially before you can necessarily devote your entire life to this one thing, when you have to be a bit of a journeyman,
Yes, the journeyman. We're all about the journeyman here at this podcast.
Journey lady.
Yeah, she's a journey lady. She's a journey lady wrestler. Yeah, for those who don't know, Glow is also, it was a real thing. So Glow stands for the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and it was its own show, and it's been its own documentary. However, Netflix's Glow is a scripted show that's inspired by that, rather than like these people are not playing the real life Glow ladies.
Yeah.
They're inspired by them. It's a hilarious show.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And wonderful and beautiful. And the costuming alone just makes it worth watching.
Yeah, the hairspray and the makeup. And
Debbie Gilpin, her look like really suits itself well to like pink and shoulder pads and spandex. And like Alison Brie, who plays the lead role, is also kind of that era beautifully. And then Mark Maron, who's also on the show, he's got the grizzled, like, I've barely survived the 70s vibe to him. So, yeah, we got into it. It's such a great show to talk about. It's a show about acting, so of course there's plenty there. And can I say this is just one of my favorite interviews? Am I allowed to say that?
Sure.
I don't want to rank them.
You said that a number of times, so it's meaningless at this point, but yeah.
Hey now, that is so true. That is so true. Okay, let's get to it. Betty Gilpin. Hey, if you are an actor or an aspiring actor, someone at the beginning of your artistic career, and you haven't signed up for Backstage yet and you don't know how it works, I have good news for you. Backstage is offering 30 whole days completely free just for our In the Envelope listeners. If you visit backstage.com/subscribe and enter the code ENVELOPE, you will have full access to the site where you can make a profile, upload a headshot, upload a reel, start applying to the thousands of casting notices uploaded every single day on the world's #1 casting platform. Again, we are giving listeners of this podcast 30 days completely free to try out Backstage. Go to checkout, that's backstage.com/subscribe, and enter the code ENVELOPE. If you want to be in contention for an Emmy or for an Oscar or for a Tony or for a SAG award, do as many of the guests on this podcast have suggested and use Backstage. We are here for you. Again, free 30-day trial, backstage.com/subscribe, enter the code ENVELOPE. Born to actor parents and inspired by the theater of the absurd at Fordham University in New York, Betty Gilpin is a performer full of surprises on both stage and screen. Her characters, whether in Nurse Jackie, Masters of Sex, or American Gods, are never quite as they first may appear. This is certainly true of Debbie Eagan, her character on Netflix's ensemble comedy about female wrestlers in the 1980s, Glow, a role that has earned Betty her first Primetime Emmy nomination. Here is our wonderful interview with Betty Gilpin.
That play was I'm Gonna Pray for You So Hard by Hallie Pfeiffer, and it was me and Reed Birney, who I've known since I was a baby. He did plays with my parents in the 80s. That was the first time where I felt like I was allowed to be kind of like the most manic clown, crazy theater of the absurd version of myself, and also like the darkest Hemingwayist version of myself. Yeah. I mean, it was one of those plays where like on the subway home, I would have to be like, it's just a play, it's just a play, it's just a play.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Super actressy stuff.
Totally. No, I'm always fascinated to hear that part of the process when you're that immersed.
Well, it's maybe unhealthy what we do. Like you're telling your body, you know, if you're doing a really emotional play or scene, you know, you're telling your body there's an emergency, there's a bear in the room, like something terrible is happening, and then you're like, just kidding, okay, now we have to go to bed because we've got 2 shows tomorrow. So sometimes I feel like my body is like my brain is like a golden retriever in the back of the van that doesn't know it's on its way to the vet. It thinks it's going to the dog park. And you're like, get in the car. Here we go. Sorry, you're going to the vet. It's going to be a terrible day.
Keep going to the vet, like 8 nights a week.
Yes, yep. And why is it 8 shows a week? I just feel like, let's do 6. Can we all agree on 6?
Kristen Milioti sat exactly where you sat. Said the exact same.
She did? Yes. Well, we talk about it a lot. Kristen is one of my best friends.
Oh, cool. I'm sure you guys. That's. I'm always really fascinated to see. Sometimes as an audience member, you can even see it during the curtain call, because the curtain call is that transition where you have to start telling yourself it's just a play.
Yes.
It's just a play.
Yep. Yeah.
Sometimes you can see the actor drained or kind of still in character almost and like fighting it, or it's a super, super weird thing to do, but then it's also really unhealthy that you miss it. You're like, when can I be cruel to myself again? Oh my God. Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because all of it is cathartic. I mean, it's literally like the job is catharsis. And so in a way that can be therapeutic, or that can help you as a person.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, I also think, I was raised by two actors, and I really took for granted that, as an actor, you're constantly putting yourself in as many different perspective positions as possible. And I realized, like, now as an adult, my parents have thought about what it's like to be a warrior, a murderer, and looking at life from all different sides, and then sitting down to play with me with all of that perspective and humility and superpower almost. And while sometimes it feels emotionally unhealthy to go to these crazy places, I think it's also what a gift that we get to do that too. As long as we apply it to sort of positive output, looking at different situations or trying to connect with people instead of, going insane.
Right. Like it kind of helps to be with other humans if you're
right.
Maybe playing a sociopath or
Yeah. But also sometimes it feels like there's a wall down that should be up sometimes. Like, do you ever feel like we kind of excuse away? Because I think as actors, you get to know someone. So, like, if their brain is a house and you are doing a play with them, you get to know the attic, the downstairs bathroom, every part of it. And then, so sometimes I feel like when someone is mistreating you or being insane, you're like, well, it's because of that thing that happened when they were sick. Like, 6 years old, like, know them so well that you can explain away behavior that if you work together in a cubicle, you'd be like, dude, you're
like, this is
an
professional.
Yes, yeah.
Totally. But it's part of the job.
Right.
To know that.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's super weird.
It is weird, but I mean, you get varying degrees of the sense of the person's house, right? It depends on your chemistry with other people, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I maybe from theater school, it's maybe from like up until you find your carny tribe, I think you're kind of like, I'm the weird theater kid and I can't wait to find the other ones. And then when you do, you're like, let's get into it. Start at your childhood. Let's get to know each other. It's like... Like when we were rehearsing I'm Gonna Pray for You So Hard, we rehearsed at the Atlantic space where the kids at the Atlantic studio for NYU were having their classes. And so I would like step over all these kids in the hallway in pajamas, like basically everyone making out, holding each other, like crying, and just in that like emotional orgy that is theater school. And I was like, oh God, that was the time where you just can't help but go all the way mentally with everybody. And that was a lesson for me to learn after graduating that, sometimes you do have to put up boundaries with people.
Yes.
Because it's also heartbreaking. Like you get to, when you share a dressing room with someone and you fall in love with them as a friend or whatever, and then the play's over and maybe your lives don't logistically work to see each other.
Ever. Right. It could happen.
It's a business of saying goodbye to people. And then like running into people 5 years later at a play, you're like, God, I guess I shouldn't have told you all those secrets I told you because we never saw each other again.
Right. You're like, oh, I forgot how vulnerable I really was with this person.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's part of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as like, it'd be very rare to like, I guess if you're part of like a repertory company for decades or something with someone.
Right.
But otherwise as an actor.
Yes.
You meet someone and you work with them for X amount of time and then you move on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I do think that's, the kind of like mental, emotional orginess of being in a play. I mistook that for the environment that should be on a set sometimes. And I realized, actually, there's so much going on a set that it's less important to make sure the sound guy doesn't hate me or make sure, I've had five crying conversations with every single one of my cast members. Actually, what I need to do is protect myself a little bit and sort of be a social worker on behalf of my creativity for that day. You know,
Ooh.
I think that like Glow, with so many women in the cast, if I had gotten that job when I was 19, I would have spent, you know, I would have been like, it's summer camp again, it's theater school, and, you know, I think spent more energy trying to connect with everybody instead of focusing on my work. I am obsessed with everyone, and we know each other so well, and we have a, you know, group text that's nonstop. But I do, it was the first time, you know, I started the job when I was 30. And I don't know, I was grateful for that maturity of being able to be like, I'm going to go to my trailer before this scene that's emotional instead of, I don't know.
Some walls can be helpful.
Yeah.
And a 19-year-old is not going to know how to put those up.
Yeah, no, and I did not. I definitely did not.
Totally.
I wasted so much time on sets when I was in my 20s of wasting the first 3 takes, making sure everyone thought I was likable, no one was mad at me, and auditioning for the same job, the job that I already had. And then by the 4th take being like...
Rather than doing the job.
Yeah.
That's actually really good advice. I mean, we're all about our listeners are going to want to hear, especially those maybe who are new to being on set or new, you know, in the theater school age of their career or whatever. Like, it's so funny you say that about being likable, because I feel like off camera, you do have like the job of creating a community or like being a part of a community.
Right.
But first and foremost, you're there to do the on-camera work.
Right.
Or the on-stage work.
Yes. Well, I think that, you know, theater school and starting in theater is both a blessing and a curse. I think that
for a film trajectory. Yeah.
I think that, or an acting career.
Oh, okay.
No. I would say for being on a set. You know, I think that like the ocean of weird that you build in theater school that you can draw on for the rest of your life is completely invaluable. It's amazing.
I love that.
And so important. But I do think it's, if you're lucky enough, the environment in school or in a great play it's so safe. It's very like back rubby whenever you're ready. Let's have the room be pin drop silent and you start your monologue, you start your Hermia whenever you're ready, and everything you do is beautiful, and let's now sit down and cry about how beautiful that was. I mean, some programs are very cutthroat. Fordham Theater was definitely very like kumbaya, everything's perfect.
Okay. Yeah.
And then going to like a Law and Order where they were like, don't do that thing with your face, and go grab a snack. Oh shoot. Yeah, I guess let's ask the star. Do you want to do your coverage first or second? Okay, we're going to do your wide shot first, then 3 hours later we'll do your and you're like, but what about, do we want to talk about my childhood at all beforehand? Do we want to sing?
Yeah, totally.
So I think I also realized like, a set is conducive to one kind of personality. Like I would see people who weren't great actors perhaps, but they were just so comfortable. And that is 80% of it.
Gotcha.
And it annoyed me so much because I was like, I'm not comfortable. I need a 2.5 weeks of rehearsal to get comfortable, feel okay in this room, and then bring my ideas out, my weird journal ideas.
Yeah.
And like you have to do that on day one.
Yeah, totally.
On a set.
Yeah. Maybe you get to do like a slightly different thing in a second take.
Right.
And it's just, is this partly just because like the sheer amount of people involved? Like I guess on a set, it's not necessarily a number of people, but it's a number of different roles there. Like you said, the sound person is there and the cinematographer, and like, whereas in theater, it is just actor and director and occasionally playwright and stage manager.
Yeah, it's all about, I mean, you know, design is very important in plays too, but there's 4 weeks where it's just about the acting, which is, again, so amazing to build that foundation of being able to think about the way a script works or a role works from that perspective. But I think a lesson I learned is, I have to do all of that homework by myself before I step on stage or on set.
Yeah. Bring it all to the first take.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a lot of pressure.
For sure. Yeah.
But basically, it's whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. Like I would sometimes, the breaking a scene into, objectives, and then there's this turn in the scene or this turn, that it just, I freak out with that. Like that becomes just a set of hoops for me to jump through, and
Not
I'm
a
like
comfort.
an Atticus Finch telenovela. Like then I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and I just become a sort of like flesh puppet robot. But I just try and like journal as much as possible as the character and memorize my lines and not think about the turns of the scene too much.
That's your process. You have a set process.
I do, I guess, but I also try and like mix it up. I don't know. I try to. So much of Fordham theater was theater of the absurd. We did a lot of Beckett, and just all. We did Endgame for like a year.
Okay. Because if you could do that, you can translate that into a lot of different...
it was really helpful when my first audition was Gossip Girl. And I was like, does Mackenzie have a hunchback? Because I could do that. They were like, please take your teal movement pants and leave.
You didn't get the part?
I did not, no. Well, another thing that happened...
Congratulations on the audition.
Thank you so much. Well, I think I was like 19 auditioning for one of the girls on Gossip Girl, and I got called back for one of the teachers. I think that's a thing that happens too with theater school. It's like they teach you, they instill gravitas in you, and then you graduate, and you're, especially for ladies, you're auditioning for a part where they like want you to talk like this and be like, wait, I don't get it. What's the answer?
Any lines at all.
And you're like, I don't get it. What's the answer? They don't want you to seem 30. They want you to seem 15. And I think that sometimes theater training can instill a kind of grounded, older person within you that is not as marketable.
Interesting. Yeah. Which
is frustrating.
And it is more marketable in the theater world?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. It's, if you're playing Ophelia, absolutely. But I think, and I do think the newer plays are sort of gravitating towards a more mumblecore, grounded, come as you are, instead of, doing a Linklater warm-up before the play starts. So I think like it's important to take the Ocean of Weird and the Theater of the Absurd training, but then keep who you are also,
yeah, okay. And bring that to that first take as well.
Right, yeah.
And definitely don't, like you said, don't do the thing of like, well, I need the 2.5 hours of prep and the 2.5 weeks of rehearsal all before this first take.
Right.
When you have one line in a Law and Order scene.
No, yeah. I mean, so the journaling stuff and the prep for me is just to fill my brain with the character's thoughts instead of, oh my God, that light is right there. And there's 4 guys right there holding equipment, and there's someone moving over there, and someone's looking at their phone. When you go from the safety of a black box where it's just like that, there's almost no, maybe there's an old lady unwrapping a candy, but other than that, it's just you and the text. And then you walk on a set and there's 100 people who don't care at all about your process.
Sure. Yeah, and you got to know that.
Yeah. And you'll probably be opposite a person. I think starting out, especially in New York, you probably do, or I did, you do a lot of guest stars on cop shows and doctor shows where the person that you're doing a scene with has maybe done 8 seasons of the show. They're so comfortable, like a Law and Order or something. Yeah. And they... It's an advantage that they have that you don't. You're coming in for a couple days having to do, a crying scene or something crazy, and they're at home. They know everybody.
Yeah.
They're so comfortable, and you just have to kind of play the part of someone who's comfortable.
Oh yeah. It's a double acting job.
Yes, it totally is.
Totally.
Yeah.
And those people who have been 8 seasons of a show, that's like the 0.1% of the acting community. Like,
right.
That's a rare person.
Yes.
So that's not a norm. And someone
Right.
stepping onto set for the first time has to know, like, Mariska Hargitay is her own person.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one like her.
Right. Yes.
No one's going to be as comfortable in that situation as she is.
Totally. Yeah. No. And definitely stepping onto a set like that, you feel like everyone's got it figured out but you.
Yeah.
Or I did at least. And, usually the guest stars on those shows have the emotional heavy lifting to do.
Sure.
The cop gets to ask what time, how long, where were you? And you have to be like, my dad. and do it, in 2 takes because baby Mariska wants a latte.
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. I actually, because this is Backstage, first of all, did you ever use Backstage, or do you?
I know Backstage, definitely, yes. I did not use Backstage, but I am a big fan.
Good. Because I would actually love to hear more about the Gossip Girl audition.
Yeah.
Because, so was that really, truly the first time on camera? Or certainly the first time of auditioning for something?
Yeah, one of my first auditions. I mean, especially as a lady, I was in school with no makeup, pajamas only, stoned all the time, stringy hair, food on my face, just never thought about because it wasn't about that. It was about, this play we're doing about birthing a ball of light into Chernobyl level conditions. And
the Ocean of Weird.
Yeah, the Ocean of Weird. So when I remember going to that audition in like a crazy, I used to dress, I dressed like a girl in theater school. It was like half hungover child, half fairy, it was a lot of sparkle and stains. And
there's your memoir title. Right
Sparkle
there.
and Stains. Or my 2 chihuahuas. And the feedback was like, what were you wearing? You didn't brush your hair.
Oh God. And it's Gossip Girl too. So
yes, and the hallway. I still have a picture of it somewhere. I walked in, and the hallway was like 30 girls in full Real Housewives blowouts.
Wow.
I mean, girls that were 17 who were dressed like they were 45. Just
And so that moment must have been
boobs and heels and ducks better scurry. I mean, it was crazy. And I felt so out of my league. And it took me years to realize, sadly, a blowout and doing your makeup, it's so profoundly dumb. But it is important when you're... I hate it. The world is slowly changing, but
yes, it is.
We still have to be like porn poodles, and it sucks.
Yeah, that is just part of the nature of Hollywood.
Yes,
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Why did you take a picture? Because it was
there were so many.
Yeah.
And my agents were like, they're really excited about you for the. And then I walked in, and it was just a sea of. Yeah.
See, and that's why it's like, this is why I love hearing these stories, because now theater trained actors who are walking onto a film audition or a TV audition for the first time,
right?
It's almost just helpful to hear this process is really pretty isolating.
Right.
And you kind of do have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
And you may feel so like the rug is pulled out from under you on that first day.
Right. Yeah.
And not feel great about how you look, like the appearances part.
Yes. And I think a lot of I am an actor because I'm a really sensitive person and insecure and, I have depression but I think all of those things are windows into creativity. I don't want to change that. I mean, depression's not a great thing, but I think having a connection to the whole world is a great thing. And I think that the process of auditioning and hearing no all the time, it's very tempting to pull down steel doors in your brain to protect yourself, but you're also pulling them down to things like creativity and being open and that connection to the world. So you have to be careful. You have to choose what boundaries you're going to put up to protect yourself, but not to cut yourself off from the thing that you love. I guess for auditions, I would say the thing that took me forever to learn is no one wants you, to put away the character shoes. Don't buy 100 teal and purple things. Buy one black thing and one white thing for the price of 10 teal and purple things.
Okay. Gotcha.
And, brush your hair.
Why teal?
I had one of my best friends who is a gay man sat me down when I was 25 and he's like, we need to put away the teals and the purples and the scrunchies. He was like, no more novelty items. He was like, you have big boobs. Those are novelty items. Megaphones. No more. You can't wear any other ones.
Totally.
Okay.
Gosh, so it's there's really a lot of balancing acts and just the very basic job of being an actor. There's the balancing act of closing the steel doors, but opening certain steel doors. Yeah. But also this weird thing of managing your own image where you want to be able to express yourself and your creativity and be yourself. Right. But sometimes you have to get a blowout. Yeah. As much as you may not want to.
Yes, because people's imaginations are non-existent. They're she would have been great for the part. I just wish that she had straight hair or curly hair.
Totally something arbitrary
you
and
curl
stupid.
my hair then. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's, especially for TV, a lot of people that are making the decisions sometimes have nothing to do with the arts. They worked for a tech company and now they're producing a show. Right. Or they're trying to prove that their job is important. So they're like, I don't like her eyelashes. Whoa. It's just...
Oh my God.
It's so dumb.
I've never heard that. Wait, that's awesome. I mean, and brutally honest and revealing. There's someone in the room who's I'm going to make a point of maybe being a dick or maybe just making a choice. Right. But it's kind of because they need to assert themselves in the room.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you're testing for something, a TV show, or a network pilot. I've done that only a couple times, but it's, a full test is when you're auditioning for 20 people in the room, and they're the high level ABC whatever, and then the casting people and the casting person's niece. I mean, and then you leave the room and it's 20 people having a conversation about why you're right or wrong. One
Looking
time,
at your headshot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, it's just
and saying God knows what.
Yes. But the leg up you can have is being a good actor.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, one time I tested for that show, Don't Trust the Bitch in Apartment 23.
Yes.
And I was testing for the crazy lesbian neighbor. And it was me.
What a dream role.
Yep. At last. Actually, it is my dream role. It was me and 3 other girls. And we were testing all day long in and out of this room with 20 people who weren't laughing or looking at us. I think they were all looking at their phones. It was crazy. No. And then we were sitting in the waiting room waiting to hear. The casting director came out and she was like, okay, you can all go. Okay. Me and the 3 other girls get in the elevator. 3 of our phones ring. Hello? Stay in the elevator. What?
Oh my God.
The elevator doors open. The one girl whose phone didn't ring gets off and looks back at us what's going? And elevator doors close. We get back up. They made us do it to her. It was
my God.
We all burst into tears in the elevator. We were holding hands. I can't believe that just happened.
Oh no.
And none of us got the part.
How great that you could have this moment of solidarity with people you're in competition with.
Oh, I mean,
the maturity that it takes to just be I'm sorry, could you leave? Yes. And the 3 of you could stay.
I know,
a very simple
exactly.
thing.
Yes. Insane. But, the solidarity is very important.
Sure.
Kristen Milioti, one of my best friends,
Yes.
we know each other because I've lost 10 trillion parts to her.
Oh.
My other best friend, Zoe Kazan,
Yes.
same thing. Aya Cash. I mean, all these girls, I think particularly ladies, where there's usually the girl part, where you're all trying to get that one part. I am so grateful for the relationships that I have with people that I've cried over hearing they got the part. Like, these are my best friends.
Rather than feeling bitter or jealous.
Yes, yeah. Once you realize you have no control over it, it's all a big joke.
Yeah.
There's such solidarity to be had.
Yeah. And that's a way better choice than doing the she got the part.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to get bitter and angry at the business, and it's just not a fun look.
And to play the game of comparing.
Yeah.
Which is what we do, as humans.
Yes, totally. Especially with social media.
Yeah. Where you can, project a
Yes.
certain level of, success or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And that's not necessarily the truth or
No
something
way.
near it. But
Yeah, no.
the point of it is to project it and to create that narrative. And
Yes.
it's awkward.
I also don't understand that it's, the purpose of it is to project this sort of frozen credits roll, this is my permanent identity.
Ooh, yeah.
When our job is to have a identity in flux and be a
ongoing.
transformer and chameleon and have things about ourselves that we don't like that we're looking at, and I don't get the this is the final product, it's perfect.
Yeah. The end, it really is like a credits roll.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm literally writing that down because it's genius. And all of this, this is all I definitely want to hear. I got to hear about how you got involved in Glow and that maybe audition process.
Yeah.
But it sounds like we really are at a moment. We really are at a moment in this industry where things are making baby steps towards something resembling a change, or at least a conversation about change, about, we're sort of getting there.
Yep.
And Glow is one of the shows at the forefront of that, where it seems like...
Yeah. I just realized this is right in my eye line to you, and one eye has been looking at you here. I've got it. Here, if I just
you look amazing.
Sit up. Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Glow is defiantly female. It's defiantly female-led, and making a point and then some about... There's not just the girl part, the one girl part.
Right.
If anything, there's the boy part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. What do you remember about, what were your first impressions, or did you read the script at first? And
Yeah, so the creators of Glow, Liz Flahive and Carly Minch, worked on Nurse Jackie with me, and that's how I knew them. Well, no, I knew them as playwrights first.
Okay, cool.
In New York, and we just had a bunch of mutual friends, and... God, over 10 years ago, I did a workshop of a play that Liz wrote before Nurse Jackie. And it was me and Edie Falco in the play. And it was a week-long workshop. And I was like, this is it. I've made it. I'm so excited to do this production next year. And I thought it went so well. I was so excited. And they didn't offer the part to me for the production. And I was Sylvia Plath levels of devastated. I mean, just screaming why to the sky. My husband was like, what is happening? And
that's that thing where you get so close and you feel like this is it.
Yes.
A turning point.
Yes. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah.
Yes. So then I was like, then I got the audition for Nurse Jackie years later, and I was like, well, I'm not getting it because I've done this.
Happened.
I did this thing with Edie and Liz, and it was a no. So I'm going to walk in that room, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, we remember her. We didn't like her as an actor. And I auditioned and got it. And I remember Liz being like, oh, yeah, you just weren't right for that.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like an arbitrary reason or like
yes. Yeah. So then, and Nurse Jackie was like, they had changed showrunners in the season I got there, the 5th season, from female to male showrunners. And they were like, let's spice things up by writing a slutty doctor character. Who you see her aerial is before you see her face. She's constantly having sex with people in the closet, and she's like so dumb. And enter me. And that was how the part was written at first. And I was, gravitas clown from theater school. And I was like, I'm going to Trojan horse this. I'm going to sneak in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to wear all the things and take off my clothes and wear, full Kris Jenner makeup. But I'm going to also be
a person.
Endgame. I'm going to do theater of the absurd in this as well. And they started to write for me in that way, which was really exciting. So I think for Glow, they knew that I was a Barbie clown. I still auditioned 6 times for Glow.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they knew that, I think, so rambly today.
Oh, you're like fully on track.
Okay, great.
So great.
Just like pour boiling water on my face.
Pure gold. What is amazing?
Okay, great. I think maybe everybody feels like this as an actor, that, there's what you look like on the outside and seem like to people, but then there's like this hidden scroll within you of being like, and this is who I really am, and the parts I want to play. And that scroll is in a locked box, and you like spend your career being like, I want to show you how to unlock this box because the scroll is so much better than the package or that you're seeing.
Yeah.
And I realized slowly that no one was ever gonna do that for me.
Right.
That
you wanted
it was
someone
my
to open
job.
it, but it's
yes, yeah. And I think we all share this frustration when you see people do it so easily, who are like, "Oh, here's my scroll." And have no shame about it, and no like, oh, maybe it's not as special as I thought, so I won't share it. That instead they're like, here's me. And you're like, God, I wish I could do that.
Right.
If only someone would, write the perfect part for me so that I can show that part of myself. But that's probably never going to happen. So you need to work it in somehow. It's your job.
Yeah. And if that means Trojan horsing it into a part that's maybe not necessarily to your liking.
Yes. I mean, I'd say play the part or whatever, but I definitely lost a lot of parts because I was looking to Trojan horse it. I always want to play women who have inner crazy bees, I call it.
Sure.
And a lot of female parts are written where you're just kind of like the foil for the man's crazy bees. You're kind of like, what's going on in that head of yours? And I wanted to play it like, what's going on in that head of yours? Because my head feels insane. And they were like, no callback. But when I did get the part, so I ended up working maybe less, but in jobs that were very valuable to me because I was able to play the part as I wanted to.
And not lose the sense of the scroll.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think I tried for many years I was like, I'll use the scroll, the inner scroll in plays, and in TV, I just want health insurance. And that didn't work out. People can smell it on you when you're like, no, I'm quiet jargon girl in CSI. Please cast me in this. Like, this isn't fitting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, the thing I was going to go back to was Sylvia Plath. Actually, the only time I've ever gotten fired was for the Sylvia Plath musical workshop.
Oh my God, that's a thing? Yes.
Yep. I got fired after one day.
Were you playing Sylvia Plath?
Yeah, girl.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I got fired.
Wait, but it's better to get fired after one day than after, like, the day before the show or something.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a 3-day workshop,
okay. Maybe not.
2 days before the show.
Wait, talk about getting fired.
Oh my God, it was horrible. I have I would say a coffee shop singing voice, not a mezzanine singing voice.
Okay.
Like, it's very like, doo-be-doo-be-doo, and not like, like, it's just, there's never going to be a pop belt that happens. and they were doing this musical workshop. They're like, they want you for Sylvia Plath.
You're like, it's perfect.
It was like rude, but correct. And I said, I'm not a singer. And in musical workshops, it's like, you got to sight read and do all this stuff that no way I could do. They're like, no, they know what your voice is, and they really want an actor who sings. Kiss of death. Never believe that. And yeah,
And you didn't go to musical theater training school.
No.
Right. So that right there is like...
No. Yeah. And the musical theater people are math wizards. Their brain works in a crazy, amazing, very intimidating, fast way. My brain is, like a dead woman floating in pudding. But so I did one day and was so lost. Everyone else was like, do you want this note? And I was like, this note. But, the acting stuff, I was like, enter Sylvia. And the director called me at the end of the day and was like, how do you think it's going? And I was like, we got 2 more days. I think we can do it. She was like, I don't think you should come back.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I was... But I remember I took a long walk with Aya Cash through Prospect Park and just sobbed. And then the next day had coffee with Zoe Kazan and sobbed, and saw Kristen Milioti for dinner and
you're
sobbed.
Kidding. Those 3?
Yes. Those are my girls.
That's so amazing.
And, because they had all been there before in their own way.
You need that.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it was horrible.
But is it true, like in life, like the periods of like real trauma and real loss and real hardship are you learn way more from those,
yes, right? Yeah. And you also learn just how dumb it is. And also that the second you being in a play or auditioning for a thing, it can feel like it's the whole world.
Yeah.
And I think just putting it out of your brain, and especially being in New York, walking into the street and realizing, oh, none of these people care about that. LA, everyone cares.
Ooh, yeah, interesting.
That's why I love being in New York.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I've been working for 13 years and had a ton. This is what I was going back to. I was the second choice. I mean, so many times.
Totally.
I I almost got the show Girls. I didn't get it. Veep, Orange is the New Black, Quantico. I mean, there's so many things where I was like, this is it. This is the montage of my life. It's gonna.
Interesting.
I'm gonna get this part. They've written me finally a gravitas Barbie clown.
Okay.
This is the way it's gonna go. Oh, it's a no. And even my most successful friends feel this way too. Yeah. There's a way of, like, my lunches with my friends who are actors who work once every 3 years, and my lunches with my movie star friends, they're saying the exact same things. When's it going to happen for me?
Right.
It's the same.
That's so same. Crazy. Yeah.
And usually the friend who works once every 3 years is happier.
There you go. That's a really good lesson for listeners here, I think. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so was Glow that same thing of like you're almost, it's just an onslaught of rejection. And so do you go through the same, it's almost like a Pavlovian thing of like, well, here I am at my, 6 auditions?
Yeah.
So on your 6th, you can't help but think this is the same thing of like, this is it. This is the turning point. Here we go.
Yeah.
But also now anticipate I got runner-up.
Right. I mean, I think that I went into it thinking it just wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
Definitely. Because I don't know, it hadn't, not in a, it's not going to happen, I know it. Like, in a way of, odds are probably it's going to be Selena Gomez's cat.
The cat.
The cat is very talented.
Yeah. That's where the trend is going these days. Yeah. I wanted to protect myself from the rejection of because this is one that I wanted, more than anything else. I also tried to
audition for Ruth, the Allie Breeze character, because I was like, I'm the nerd, I'm the theater girl, that's
Absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we're gonna have you audition for Debbie. It's like, God damn it, another,
glamorous.
Like, is she the Barbie friend? But I was like, I'm gonna make her mentally ill as well.
Fully
mentally
so much. I gotta get into it.
I'm so glad it's apparent.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Like season
That's
2.
the highest compliment you
really,
can.
Yeah, exactly. Good. So that really, it was like, that's the other question I had is like, was Debbie like yet another, or was it the most, this is the scroll, this is the clown Barbie?
Well, when they first told me, Liz and Carly told me, oh, we're writing this show about glow. And I Googled what glow was. I was like, no, I want it so bad.
Okay.
Because it was
sounds so fun.
Women who looked like aging pop stars who were on the brink of a psychic break.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I was like, that's me.
Yeah, and in front of an audience, too.
Yes.
It's theater.
Yes. And so much of, I watched the documentary about the original real glow, and it's like an allegory for what it feels like sometimes to be an actress, where especially when you have tits the size of dead dogs, where you're like, I think that I'm doing something, so I'm using my 5-year-old imagination and my 15-year-old dark journal self, and I'm presenting it for you. I'm presenting the scroll to you.
Yeah.
And it's viewed by dudes as porn. Like, it's male gaze first. And glow, these ladies were like, this is a crazy imagination thing that we came up with. This is like a weird tableau of good versus evil and all our weird ideas. And they were like, take off your clothes. And that is, I feel like that when I play a lawyer sometimes.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, we could flip the script and do this. And I wouldn't even have to Trojan horse it. I could be, this is the scroll.
It's a Trojan horse of an idea. The glow itself is a Trojan horse.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But I just, I was like, oh, Betty, don't let your heart get broken by this. But I also loved the part so much that, I love acting, which is such a lame-o thing to say.
Not at all.
But I just love it. And sometimes when you're not working as much, an audition is when you get to act.
Yes, absolutely.
And I loved this part so much that I was like, okay, if this is the only time I get to live with this person, these 6 times, then let's let her live for a second, and then we'll say goodbye.
That the business of saying goodbye thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is very, very painful.
Sure, yeah.
But you're doing yourself a disservice if you protect yourself too much that you don't let that person fully live inside you. And so I did. I was like, I'm just going to be Debbie these times. And then I said goodbye to her.
Because you gotta.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah.
I'll have to say goodbye to her someday.
Oh, yeah. Nothing, lasts.
Yes. Yeah, no, we're all going to die for sure.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
I don't understand. Yeah, it's a different topic. Yeah.
You don't understand life or death?
I don't
Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah. Like, why we don't all just walk around screaming all the time, like at the top of our lungs about the possibility of dying at any moment is insane to me.
Well,
truly.
But I think being an actor, we get to like constantly have like a foot in the river of
death.
Not of death, but that like A, it's all a big joke, and B, there's like this magic underbelly to the whole world where we're all connected circus people who are crying and shitting in our bathrooms and Greek level screaming in our cars. Like, we know the secret. Like, we're not like put together business people. Like,
right. We have
even Martha Stewart
out.
is like pounding her chest in her vestibule.
Yeah. Ooh.
Shit in her pants.
Look at the vestibule. The use of vestibule. It's great.
People don't use it enough. They just walk right through. But my last audition for Glow was the Wednesday before my wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, how interesting.
And I had this idea,
How did
I
you
was
pull
like,
that off?
well, I don't know. But I kept saying to myself throughout my 20s, I'll get married and have a baby and buy a house and move on with my life when I get the job. And it kept not happening. And I was like, I kept, I think it's very easy as an actor to sort of put your life on hold and live as like, treat today and this year and this 5 years as the time where I'm going to scramble to get it all set up so that then I can continue my outside life. And, there's a saying, never choose the business because it will never choose you. Like, it's never going to, like, I feel like the second I announce to the world, I'm actually just gonna get married and do all this stuff. I'm not gonna wait for the business to catch up with me. That was when the business was like, okay, here's Glow.
Yeah.
The literal week of my wedding.
Yeah.
And it's tempting. It's always tempting to be like, oh, I'm just gonna actually focus on, being an actor and that bubble of the world instead of the thing that probably makes you a better actor, which is just being a person and going to a museum and calling your mom and seeing a movie that has nothing to do with, or traveling or,
That all has to be part of the business of being an actor.
Yes. Yeah. Because then you're going to show up to play a lawyer and be like, I'm a lawyer.
Right.
And you're like, no, it sounds like you're an actor. Yeah.
Right. It sounds like you're an actor.
Yeah.
I want to hear a human.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And it is ironic, of course, that it's the moment of you being like, defiantly, I am going to live my life regardless.
Yes.
And that's when, because it is almost that thing of the audition, if you reek of desperation, you're not going to get the part. And so the moment you say, well, I don't actually need the part, is when you get the part.
Yeah, then the part's like, oh, we want you now.
Yeah, which isn't always how it works, of course, but it's often how people look back on their careers and see that.
Yeah, it also just makes for a happier life. Yeah, it's crazy.
And then when did you get the part? Like on the day of the wedding?
I got the part. No, okay. So I auditioned for it. My last audition. So I got married in Massachusetts. They had me fly to LA for my final audition on Monday. I auditioned, came back, and then the Wednesday before. And I had been like, I'm getting married this weekend. Please. I almost was like, screw you guys. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, totally.
I've done everything that I could do.
Yeah.
And they were like, one more. Fine, I'll go. I went, auditioned with Allie Bree. We were like, what is happening? We want this so badly.
She still hadn't booked it either.
No. It was our second audition together. Wow. Yeah. I was shooting something in Toronto over the summer, and they had flown her to come read with me in Toronto, which was my social anxiety nightmare. I was like, you're being forced to come to Toronto to meet me. Oh God, I'm so sorry. You're so fancy. I'm not fancy.
It's also, in my mind, she never didn't have that part. Like she
had to fight for it. Totally. It was amazing. She was amazing.
It just seems like it was created for her. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
incredible. But we, the Wednesday before my wedding, my dearest friends, Zoe was there, and a bunch of us. Basically, my type A friends planned my whole wedding for me and did everything. I was just like a mess on the ground. But they were all at my house in Massachusetts with my mom talking. I got the call from Liz and Carly. I went to the other room. They told me I got the part. I went back into the room, ready to tell my closest friends and family this news. And my mom was like, when I die, just put me out to sea. And I think, ultimately, life is a road. I was like, oh my God. Okay, maybe now's not the time. And then she finished. That was the moment. And then there was a lull in the conversation. I inhaled to say it, and my other friend was like, when my grandpa died, it was kind of, and it went on for so long.
Oh my God.
Everyone telling their death stories, death everywhere, with my wedding doilies all over the place. It was like an hour.
You're talking about,
And I start to cry because I'm thinking about the job. I'm like, I'm so excited. And my friend, like, Zoe puts her hand on my back. She's like, it's okay. Your mom's got a lot of time left. I was like, no.
You don't. Oh my God, that is so, that's a sitcom.
Yes, it was, my life is a sitcom. And then I was like, I got the part. They were like, what?
Record scratch.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Why didn't you say anything? I was like, you were all talking about dying.
Planning my wedding.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
And then I immediately forgot about it and married my husband.
Had your life. Yes, totally.
Like, it was great. It wasn't until like 2 weeks after that I was like, oh yeah, I got it. Because it wasn't the best thing that happened to me that week.
Amazing.
It didn't.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was...
If you'd spent your wedding being like, I can't wait to think about this, developing this part and like all of the...
Yes.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, also, thank God I got it, because that would have...
That too.
I would have forgotten it also and have it be the happiest week of my life still.
Yeah.
But yeah, my husband was like, I was so scared you were going to walk down the aisle being like, I'm very excited for this, but I'm very devastated.
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God. And then I think we have to wrap soon. Frick.
Beep, beep, beep.
But... the Emmy, the thing that I haven't even said anything about, I freaking, like, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On your Primetime Emmy nomination.
Thanks.
Like, supporting actress in a comedy, which I'm going on the record as saying is the coolest category at the Emmy.
Ooh.
Because just look at the people in it year after year. But this year, I can't... How do you
the
feel?
Same category as Laurie Metcalf.
I was going to say
absurd.
And
it's
like
absurd.
Megan Mullally and the women of SNL. Like, what?
Yeah, it's not okay.
How do you? It's not okay.
P.S. My friends and I the other night were dream casting Ivo Van Hove's West Side Story, and Laurie Metcalf we cast as Anita. I don't care.
Holy
but
cow.
She's our Anita.
Oh my gosh.
Michael Shannon is Tony. Bjork is Maria.
Whoa. That's so bizarre. It'll never happen. It's such a good thought exercise.
It shouldn't happen.
Though.
I mean, it shouldn't happen. They should get all Puerto Rican people, but that was our Ivo Van Hove cast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm so excited. But, you know, I think if this had all happened when I was 19, I would be, you know.
Yeah.
Doing cocaine with Regis Philbin on the top of the Empire State Building. Like, I would just be like, what are you doing? This is crazy. But now I guess I'm so excited. I know it's going to go away in 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah.
There's a line of, you know, it's just, it's so temporary. I'm so excited. But I also, you know, I want to be playing Medea in the Berkshires when I'm 75.
Yeah. You fully, yeah.
And the second that I believe the business, when it tells me the very loud, tempting thing that the things that are valuable about me as an actor are the things that are going to expire, which is that part of the business, is the day that I stop being happy and excited. I mean, I'm mostly so excited about the getting to read the scroll part in this role.
Yeah.
I can't, that's the part that I can't believe I get to do. I can't believe it. I never thought that this would happen. So being like excited or disappointed about getting a statue for that thing is so crazy to me because already, like, I've won the lottery.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the Emmys, but I you know, I can't believe I get to read the scroll.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, really.
Yeah, well, we're all going to die.
Yeah. That's on the scroll too, I feel like.
Yeah, yes.
The scroll is, I mean, and the thing about the scroll too is it's not credits roll.
Right.
It's not the end.
Exactly.
Like you can keep writing it,
yes,
right? Like it's
totally. There's so much blank space on it. Yes. Yeah.
Because you can't play Medea right now. Like you kind of have to get a little more on the scroll or like different stuff on the scroll.
Yes. Yeah. And the things that the scroll wants have nothing to do with Instagram or blowouts or comparing yourself or being down on yourself. You know, it's like, it's all the things that you think would have nothing to do with this business. It's staying connected to the whole world and staying curious and feeding your brain.
Yes.
Which is so hard.
That's spectacular advice for working actors. I can't thank you enough for every pearl of wisdom that you've just dropped. I'm reeling. Any last, any parting words for Backstage listeners of this podcast?
Oh, God. I mean, in what category?
You truly have covered it all.
I guess, stay in love with it. And the second you're not in love with it anymore, stop. I think, in my class in school, it was half people who needed to wake up and half people who needed to calm down. I was definitely in the wake up category.
Okay.
But, I think either give yourself a break or kick yourself in the ass.
That's interesting, the binary of that. Yeah.
And usually it's the people who need to calm down or the people who think they're the opposite and vice versa.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right. So
I do need to kick myself in the ass. And the people who need to wake up are like, I need to take a break.
There you go. Right.
Do the opposite of what you think
do
you
the
need
opposite.
to do.
Yeah. Okay. I like that too. Yeah, that's good. Amazing. Betty Gilpin, thank you.
Thank you so much.
In the Envelope, an awards podcast, is recorded at Lotus Productions, Hyperbolic Audio, and Big Yellow Duck in New York City, and Soundbox LA, Mark Grouse Studios, and Buzzies in Los Angeles. Like, rate, subscribe, tell your friends, and follow us on Twitter at In the Envelope. Thanks as always to producer, editor, and all-around podcast extraordinaire Jamie Muffett, and thank you to the team at Backstage, the most trusted name in casting. That's Peter Rappaport, Rawaan Alkhatib, Francis Ramos, Caitlin Watkins, Lauren Routt, Mark Stinson, and especially Kasey Howe. For more awards and industry coverage, head over to Backstage.com. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time for another glimpse in the Envelope.